Hello guys and welcome to another video. Today we're going to a pumpkin patch. Let's go. So today I am going to teach you step by step how to carve a Percy Jackson themed pumpkin. And of course the first step is to go to a pumpkin patch to get your pumpkin or to any old supermarket that sells them. Here are some tips to pick the best pumpkin to carve. First of all, the pumpkin has to be big enough or wide enough for your design, and on top of that, it has to be big enough for your hand to fit into so that you can carve out all the guts. It also has to be pretty smooth and pretty flat on the bottom so it is easier to carve. And of course, don't forget to have fun while you're picking your pumpkin. And the second step is when things start to get a bit more challenging. Okay, so it's been a few days and we're finally ready to carve our pumpkin. But before we get to carving, the first step is to clean this little baby because she's a bit dirty. Okay, so right now she's as clean as she's going to get, but we got her dry and now she is ready to take the top off. But before that, let's see what tools we're gonna need for this whole process. Obviously, we need a pumpkin, preferably one that your whole hand can fit into because you're gonna have to take everything out. And then in order to do that, we need a knife. Always be careful with a knife, even if you're an adult. And then you're gonna need some markers to draw on your design. Don't worry, you can wash it off later with some alcohol or with some nail polish remover. And of course, to do those finer details, we have some smaller tools. It really helps and it gives you much more control than this knife. And it's less dangerous. So step number one, of course, is drawing our little chimney, our hatch that's gonna open and allow air to go in and for us to take everything out. So since I don't want to take away from the design, I'm just gonna do a normal circle that my hand can fit into. Nothing fancy. But of course it's hard to draw a circle on a pumpkin. And now to carve it. And we got it! Doing a circle is so much faster than doing anything else. Okay, so now that you managed to get your top off, what you're gonna do is you want to cut this excess off, but don't cut too much because if you cut too much off, then it won't be able to sit back on the top of that pumpkin so snugly again, and it'll fall through. So I just gave it a good shape. Let's see if it still fits. Perfect. And now, the most excruciatingly long part, to take all of its guts out because they just don't. Oh, ooh, look. And of course, everything that you pull out, put in your bucket. Okay, so let's get these guts out. Now, some people like to do this with a spoon or another tool, but in order to get like the actual guts out, I use my hands. It's kind of gross. It's a slimy, very wet hair, mucus texture, but I think it's the best tool and it's the quickest way. So now we're just gonna have to get all these seeds, which by the way, later on you can put these seeds in the oven, roast them, and they're very good. Let's talk about all things Rick Riordan because 2023 and 2024 are gonna be like a crazy time for the Percy Jackson fan. We have been revived. Ever since Rick announced that he was talking to Disney Plus, May 2020, we are getting so much more in the next couple of years. First of all, I think it's around the beginning of May 2023, we are getting The Son of the Star, a Nico D'Angelo adventure following him and his boyfriend or significant annoyance, Will Solis, going into Tartarus to save what he perceives to be the voice of Bob the Good Titan. Thoughts on this book? Well, I have a whole video talking about different theories that you guys have about what might happen. And I'm actually a bit scared. It's gonna be a very emotional book just because that's what Mark Oshiro is known for. Good for us. But I think it's also going to be such a beautiful book because I love reading about Nico and Will. I recently just binge read every single one of their scenes from Blood of Olympus and the Trials of Apollo, and it just made me feel so good. They're such an interesting ship. They have such a cool dynamic, and I'm really glad we get to see more from them from their point of view. Because seeing them in Trials of Apollo was very heartwarming because Apollo obviously is Will's dad, so he had a very interesting perspective into the relationship, but I want to see what Nico thinks of Will. And I want to see what Nico thinks Will thinks of Nico. So, needless to say, I'm very excited about it. I don't think anyone's gonna die. Anyone important that we know. Maybe Small Bob. And then right after that, I think 4 months after, in September 2023, we are getting Percy Jackson and the Olympians and the Stolen Chalice, right? That's what it's called. I almost confused it with the Stolen Chariot, which is a short story about Percy and Clarice. We're getting that. We're getting the 6th Percy Jackson and the Olympians book. I actually reacted to this the day it came out. Well, the day after, because I was asleep when Rick announced it. And I was very positive about it. I was optimistic. Now I feel like sharing my more in-depth thoughts with you, because I never want to put out negativity into the world, okay? But I also don't want to come off as someone who is happy regardless what Rick Riordan does. Truth be told, I am very scared about this 6th book. Because for me, the real Percy Jackson story happens between the Lightning Thief and the Last Olympian. That is the most canon that will ever happen in the Riordan-verse to me. Like, nothing can change that. Those books, they're not perfect, but they'll be the most close to perfect as anything will ever come in the Riordan-verse. They are perfect to me. They are beautiful to me. I think they are the most well thought out, the most well written, and the most entertaining, and they have the best character with the best character development of any book that Rick has written. To me, that's indisputable, and if you disagree, that's fair, but to me, that's the truth. That's my truth. Percy Jackson and the Olympians will always be the best series for me, which is why I am scared, because Percy and Annabeth were a bit or a lot out of character in the Heroes of Olympus. I wish that's not the way that their story went, but their characterizations have gotten better in more recent Rick Riordan books. I do like Percy and Annabeth when we see them in Trials of Apollo. I have liked Annabeth and Percy when we got to see them from time to time in Magnus Chase. I think Rick really did see people's opinions about Heroes of Olympus, and I think he thought maybe that they were right, and he implemented that into his writing. Maybe it's because Percy's not a main character, or we don't see his point of view, but he seems more Percy in the Trials of Apollo than he did in all of Heroes of Olympus. So the fact of the matter is that I am scared of getting a new book that Rick himself has called the 6th Percy Jackson and the Olympians book. I'm afraid, but also hopeful, because I trust Rick. I trust that he knows those characters better than anyone else, and I trust that he'll give us a good product. I think that's fair to assume from Rick. Like, I've read over maybe 20 books from this guy at this point. I've been reading them for over a decade, so I think I can expect at least good things from him. Also, 2023, okay, we're obviously getting a trailer, because the TV show is coming out 2024. And if we've already gotten a teaser trailer, and they finished filming around late 2022, I think maybe the beginning of 2023. So I think it's very safe to say that we're getting a trailer summer of 2023, and that would be smack dab in the middle of the Nico book and the Percy book. So I think that would also be very good marketing to keep the fandom alive and keep people interested. Okay, so the time for the actual carving has come. I think I'm gonna do it on this face. And there were many designs I could have chosen from. Because if you look at Percy Jackson pumpkin carvings, there are so many cool ideas that fans all over the world have done, and they're so cool. I could have done the Camp Half-Blood logo, I could have drawn Percy, done one of the covers, I could have done like a lightning bolt for Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, I could have done a goat, I could have done an owl, I could have done basically anything. I might have done also Mount Olympus in the Empire State. Those all would have looked very cool, but I am a pumpkin carver amateur and also don't have that kind of time or skill. And on top of that, I wanted to do something specifically Percy related. So I decided I was going to do a trident. This is the trident that I think we're gonna be aiming for today. I pulled it out from this reference picture from Pinterest and I really liked it. I think this looks like the trident that Percy gets over his head when he gets claimed by Poseidon. And since this is gonna glow in the dark with the candle we put inside it, I think that is the vibe we're going for. So let's paint our design onto this pumpkin. We have to choose the right face to do this on. That's very important. Okay guys, here is what we got. I modified the design a tiny little bit for it to fit, and I am not feeling super confident, but this is what we have and this is what we're going with, so wish me luck. Okay, here we go. So as soon as I started touching it, the whole design came off onto my hand. So we're freehanding it, baby! Okay, so even though the whole design ended up on my hand, I think I'm slowly getting the hang of this. So I carved the main arrow of the trident, and I think it's looking pretty good. It's actually very hard to do straight lines. I thought it was difficult to do curves, but actual straight lines are hard. But I think little by little, I am doing it. So just bear with me. This is gonna take a while, but for you, it'll be 5 seconds. So finally made it to the other two spikes. It's looking pretty good. I'm kind of worried about how they're going to fit. So I might not do the spike inward like here, but maybe do it outward. Let me know down in the comments what I should do. But right now, it's looking so much better than I thought. So I'll probably do the spike outward just because I ran out of space. So I lied. I went ahead and did it inwards anyway, but I think it's working. And the second one is there. Look, doesn't it look good? Oh my God, it looks so much better than I expected it. Right now, I'm going to work on my edges and just do the finishing touches, but this is mostly done. So we're finally done with this pumpkin. I absolutely adore it. It turned out to be the cutest thing ever. I didn't even have to take off the marker because it got all over my hands. So that solved that issue. And I particularly love how tall the stem is. I think it adds to the vibe. It's just so cool, and it looks so cool when it's lit up. Okay, so that actually looks super cool. Okay, so this way you can see the candle, but when I go like this, the candle's gone. Okay, so I was gonna show you something, but look at this. It projects a freaking trident. That is the coolest thing I've ever done. So now I have my own portable trident projector. I have been unclaimed demigod ever since May 2020, but not anymore, baby. I have officially been claimed by the sea god. Kneel before me. I am amazed by my own artistic skills, and this is projecting a trident. I can't. I'm gonna show you. Look at this thing. It's so cool. I've also gained a new skill today. I can walk with a lit pumpkin slash jack-o'-lantern on my head. This could end terribly, but apparently I have perfect balance. I have been claimed by the sea god. But it was so much fun. Let me know down below if you've ever carved a pumpkin, specifically a Percy Jackson themed pumpkin or any kind of fandom themed pumpkin. I think that is so fun. And Percy Jackson specifically, I think like if you don't know, you might mistake this as like a devil's trident. So it still works thematically. Please let me know if you like this pumpkin and click the like button if you did. Comment down below all the things that I just said, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Click that bell button so you get notifications every time I post a new video. I post videos just like this kind of every single Friday, and I guess I'll see you guys next time. Happy Halloween. Bye.